I feel like I still haven't recovered from it, because that was a son that I will never get back. Very beautiful boy. He stayed with me for hours, and then come to find out after they did the postmortem and got the results, he weighed close to what he was the last time I had gone for the heartbeat. So they were projecting that the baby had passed more than 2 weeks in me, and I couldn't tell. And that even made the whole thing like God is good.
Absolutely.
God is so good, and
Absolutely.
He looks after His own. Because what if people have gone through that and they died?
Yeah.
So to have a baby in me for that long, and I was just walking around, and instead of feeling bad, I felt so good that I felt that the pregnancy was doing very well. So God is good for, the report said over 2 weeks.
Hello, welcome to my channel. This is where we keep reality for real. My name is Gabriel, and today I have a guest. She's a friend. She's a nurse. She's an RN. She's an MSN. She's married with her husband, Robert Obisi. She has 3 children, 2 girls, 1 boy.
Yes.
Yes. And she's a person of Abi Osei Obisi. Welcome, my dear sister.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Mrs. Obisi is a friend. I think we met on Facebook in 2014.
Yes.
Yes. But then I was in Ghana. But it was already in America.
I was already
here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when I got to America in 2015, I told her that I was here. I'm here. And so she came. But that day was her birthday.
Yeah, it was my birthday when we met for the first time.
Yeah, so we celebrated the birthday. And one way or the other, we've lost each other. Yes, we lost each other. But, I mean, we are going to
get into it, right?
We are going to start from the beginning. I just want us to start from the beginning. Mrs. Abi, where were you born? Where do you come from, actually?
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you to all your listeners and viewers. This is really a nice platform, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
So, I'm a Ghanaian. I was born in Accra, but I am originally, my parents are from Kwawu. So my mom is from Obomeng, and my dad is from Imprai. So, we lived in Accra. I lived with my mom for the most part of the years, and we lived in Accra, Newtown. So that was where I went through my primary education through to high school. Then I furthered for senior high school. I went to Oforpenin Senior High School in Achimtafo.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Because you went to Pojos, right? Yeah, and I have some brothers who went to Pojos as well. So
you said that.
Yeah. So that, and then from there, I went to Accra Polytechnic, where I did H&D marketing, and then I further on started working, and then enrolled in Methodist University, where I actually did not complete Methodist University because I was into my 4th year. I had to travel to the United States, but I was pursuing management studies, a degree. Yeah.
So you were actually working full-time in Ghana?
Yes, I was working full-time. I did my national service, and soon after I worked with an Italian company. And this company, what they did was get a license in Ghana, export coffee, the Robusta coffee raw to Italy, where the, let's say the owner of the company comes from. And then we in turn go through production with that and then send it back to Ghana in coffee pods. And then we sell it to the hotels and other small coffee shops that want coffee.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know that there's a production of coffee in
it's
Ghana.
Huge from the eastern region. Now I don't know how, like, because of all the regions, the changes with the regions. I can talk about like Sifu Bekwai, from the eastern Achim Tafo, there is, yes, into Cote d'Ivoire and all that. So there is, and because of that business, he ended up getting sick. He had colon cancer.
Okay.
So he left, and at the time he hired me on as an administrator. So when he left, he kind of like left everything in my care whilst he went to seek treatment. So I was managing that for a while until he finally decided that he wasn't coming back. Well, he came back. He sold the company to another foreigners, but it did not go as he wanted to. He still had some partnership in it. So later on, he was like, Abby, I think we have to sell it. We have to sell everything so that I can take inventory. I can take inventory of everything. And so I helped him do that. But for almost 2 years, I was managing it for him, sending him the coffee, and he could sell it.
Wow.
Yeah. So Ghana has a very good, big, it's huge. It's a huge coffee industry, very capital intensive. So it drives a lot of Ghanaians away from it. But a lot of foreigners come in, get a license from Cocoa Board, and then do that business. So it's a huge business. Yeah.
There's something I don't know how to say it, but it might affect you a little bit, but just permit me to and it's about your dad.
Oh yes.
Yeah, your dad some time ago, because I didn't know it was your dad actually.
But you had a story?
Yes, I had a story.
Yeah.
And later on, I found out that it was your dad.
Yeah.
So we actually spoke about it. So, and I really want us to give us the story of what really happened with your dad.
Well, I wish I can tell you the entire story, like what really happened. And one of the things that I always talk about is what was going through their head. So my dad was a politician. He was a businessman, just like every other man who he dealt in music industry. At one point, he had a music production school. So everything, music, instrument, he was one of the pioneers of it in Ghana. He was really into it. So he branched into politics a little bit, and he was the second vice chairman for Dome Kwabenya constituency, MPP. And so, that was where he was like really into politics. He loved MPP very much. So
what is his name?
Patrick Opokuba.
Yeah.
But his nickname was Opokubepa.
Yeah. Yes. Because many people might know him.
Yes. A lot of people know him with the name Opokubepa. What had happened was my dad, I had a phone call. I was then almost a month out of Accra Polytechnic, waiting to write my tests, my exams to get out. And then I was at home. Like I said, I lived mostly with my mom. So I was at home when I was called by one of my, I would say a cousin, because he's a cousin to my half brothers. And he called, and anytime he called, he usually called for money, to give me money. Like dad will leave something with him. This is his fees and all that. So I was like, okay, I had wanted some money, and I had requested for some money. So I was hoping that call was because of that. And he called early. I would say around 6:30, between 6:30 and 7. So when I answered the call, I was sleeping, and I said hello. When I said hello, and he said, "Oh, they reference me as Daddy's girl in Chi." So, or sometimes it's like Daddy's favorite girl. So as soon as I answered, he said, "Mr. Pokudoba," and I said, "Yes." And he just went ahead and told me that your dad just passed. And I said, well, quit playing jokes with me. Can you tell me when to come get my money? And he said, I'm very serious. We are at the hospital and we just put him in the morgue. We are going back home. I'm here with your brother. That was one of my half brothers. And so he was like, you can. And I said, so now I'm more awake now. I said, what are you saying? He said, where are you? And I said, I'm home. So he kind of like went through it and he's like, your brother is here. Can you talk to your brother? Then I spoke to my brother and my brother said, Abi Ayampa. And that was it. And before I spoke to my brother, he had said that you have to listen to the, radio. It's all over. Every station is talking about it. So when I spoke to my brother said yes. I just screamed and then passed out. So my mom rushed into the room and she kind of resuscitated me, got me out of that condition. And I started crying and she said, what happened? And she was just like very in a frantic mood. What happened?
At that time, your mom have not heard it.
No.
Oh, wow.
So, I returned the station to, they said I should listen to the radio. My dad just died. And so we turned the radio on and my mom usually listens to Peace FM a lot. So it was on Peace FM and Kwame Sifakain was talking about it with one of the constituency members at that time. I think at that time it was the MP was I don't remember, but at the time the MP's son was the one that I believe Kwame Sifakain was talking to. So it further confirmed it. Then we straight to Joy FM. Like, I was like, okay, let's listen more. Maybe it's not my dad. Then we switched to Joy FM. Then they were talking about it too. So now it was all over. Oman FM was talking about it. Everyone was talking about it. And I called my stepmother. My dad had 2 wives. So I called the second wife. I said, where is my dad? And she said, he is home. I said, no. So I am the first person actually breaking the news to my stepmom because she had seen my dad the night before. And so she said, I'll call you back. And I was crying. I was not like anyway composed. I was just screaming and crying. I said, find my dad for me. And then she said, I'll call you back. And then soon after, my mom was trying to console me. She called me back and she said that I am very sorry. I was on my way to work. I'm going home. You should come home. So I then called several people and I called my cousin back and he said they were going home, so I should meet them at home. Then I called my other half siblings because I'm one of 13. So my dad had other kids. A lot of them are brothers and a few of us are girls. So I called my brother who was then, I believe he was doing his national service somewhere. I called him and I told him that this is what is going on. And then he said, okay, let's meet. I spoke to a lot of family members and that was it. So that is how, my father unfortunately passed. He was killed in a robbery attack.
And no, arrest?
There was some arrest in the initial stage, but I'm not sure where it ended up. And for me, that would not do anything to me.
Yeah.
Someone took the life of my father, took away my life. When my dad passed, my life ended. I have managed to pick pieces of it, but a part of my heart broke. And there is no way that I can have that back. And we always live and pray that whoever did that is able to see their children, is able to have that life that I should have had with my father. is able to have that with their children, that they are able to see their dad. They're able to have their dad walk them down the aisle when they get married.
Yeah.
They are able to have that person to call and tell them that this is what I'm going through. And they kind of give them some kind of consolation, because they lost me. They deprived me of that. And I'll never have that. My children will never see my father.
Yeah.
My husband never met my dad. He couldn't give my hand in marriage. And these are the things that was painfully taken away from us. And it has caused a lot of pain, a lot of life changes. My life took a different turn.
Yeah.
And I know that maybe that was what God had planned, but I don't think God planned to take my father away from me.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe so too.
Yes. So, every day is fresh. It's never like, when someone is sick and they pass away, there is no closure. You will get a little bit of closure because you saw them deteriorating over the span of time. And for me, I can speak for myself. I didn't get that. I didn't get that time. It was just, I think, I always say that
sudden.
It was taken away from us. It was very sudden. And Dad has taken a lot away from me and my siblings. And we will never be the same.
Yeah.
We will never be the same. We pray that he has peace. We pray that he's resting in peace. And we are making him proud every day. But I know that I don't want anyone to go through that.
Yeah. Wow. That was a bad one.
Yes.
That was a bad one. Yeah. And I'm very sorry for your loss. Honestly. Wow.
Thank you.
But you finally came to America.
Yes.
And that's another story.
That is a whole story.
Because, I mean, I've also come to America and with a lot of stories.
Of course. In this country, you have to have some story. If you don't have it, then...
Honestly, my wife, when she came to America, I was sick actually.
Yeah.
But your own husband is here. So, I mean, it's not like you just came to America, you don't know anybody, and you're just trying to make a way for your own self.
For myself?
No,
that was how it was.
Yes.
Oh, you mean for your wife? She had someone.
That's what I mean.
I got it. Yes. Yeah. So it's different.
Yes. So it's different.
Yeah. The struggle is different with everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You understand? So, I mean, how was it?
So I came. America was not in the plan.
Okay.
Remember I said I was in Accra Polytechnic. Every Tuesday, I used to pray at Baden Powell Memorial Hall.
Okay.
And so I had a friend who comes in, or sometimes if she doesn't even come to campus, because I was in Accra Poly, it was really close. And so she will come and then we walk or pick a taxi to Baden Powell Memorial Hall. So we had done that for a long time. So one day, and this was before my dad had passed. I started this before my dad passed. And that was in 2009. My dad passed in 2009. And I was given a call. I was called on 2012. And this person calls me and tells me that, are you Abigail? And I said, yes. And said, you've won American Lottery. And I said, no, I haven't. And so he said, yes, I am looking at your letter, your confirmation letter right now, and you have won. And I said, okay, how did I win? Said, you have been selected. And how you got selected was, there was an application. I said, well, I haven't done any application. Because I knew the process and I knew that every year you have to apply. I know that I had not done anything, at least in the last year, So he said, well, I went to school with you in Accra Polytechnic. And he mentioned his name. I said, I didn't know him. So he said, well, if you come, you realize that you know me. I am in Kaswa. and you did that with a friend. So I called my best friend that I used to be really close with in school. And she said, no, we didn't do anything like that. I said, the person said I was with a friend. And if it's not you, I don't know who else I'll be working on campus with. So I told my mom, and my mom said, well, let's go. I said, what if it's a scam? We don't know anyone, this person calling. And my mom said, well, it's just the two of us. So let's go. At that time, I really did not know anyone who was that close to my family in America. So we went, and as soon as I got down the trotro and I called him, he came out of his office. And I said, oh, I know him. Yeah. So I knew him, but he was not someone, he was not someone who was close. So I asked him, when did I do this? And he said, you were with a friend, like I said. So we went through the pictures, and I saw that friend. And that was the reason why I couldn't remember, because she was not a student in our school. She only came through for us to go to the prayer meeting. It was like an hour prayer meeting. And she had her dad in the United States. So she wanted to come to the United States. Unlike me, my goal was to work with my father and have that business, help him with his music business and all that. So America was not in the picture. But at that time, life had changed. He had passed. It was not easy. I was comfortable, but I knew that there was more that I could have done if my dad was alive. And there was something else that I could achieve. So we talked about it. And what he had done was, because I did the application in 2009, because he was bothering me, my friend did it. And then I said I wouldn't do it because time. And so he said, okay, write your name, your date of birth and everything on this paper, and I'll put your application in. So that was what he did. And every year he was submitting my name.
A name for you.
Into that application. And he said he did it every year till I got, till I got selected.
I think that is plan. It's God's plan.
I believe so. I believe so. I'm not sure what would have made of me if I was in Ghana, but I believe that everything was God's plan to help me, because I had lost so much and I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain. So leaving Ghana, I think put me in a different, helped me in a different way. I became independent, which I was not at the time. And, I had to grow up. Yes. You
had to grow up.
I had to grow up. Even though I was doing some growing up after my dad passed, coming to America, I really had to grow up. And it was a test. I believe that every day is a test, and there's still some growing to do, but I believe that it was for the greater good.
So I've not seen you for a while.
Yes.
Until I came to your house in Dublin. And it was then that you told me that you had a stillbirth or something like that. Because of time, we couldn't communicate so.
It was a very brief
time. It was brief because I was actually working. I wouldn't mind if you can tell us what really happened with that.
So with that, I was almost 6.
And at that time, you were in school, right? You started school already?
Yes. Okay. When I came in 2013 and I started school immediately. Okay. So after I started working, right by the fall of 2013, I started doing some prereqs. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I just wanted to enroll in school to see where that would lead me. So in 2014, I met my husband and we decided to get married in 2015. So after we got married, my husband was out of state. He was in the state of Delaware. So when he came, he was also in school doing pursuing his master's. So the plan was for him to be here when I have the baby. He had to put together like his classes, add more classes to his semester, his spring, to get him really ready, because the baby was going to be here late spring into summer. So yes, I was pregnant. I was about 6 months pregnant. And one night, it was actually a Thursday night, I went to I went to work. No, it was a Wednesday night. I went to work, and I worked 9 shifts as a nursing assistant. So when I came back, I had an appointment to see my doctor, and I called the office and said that I was really tired. I just came back. There's no way I can sleep that 2 hours and wake up again and come for the appointment. Is there a way that they can see me immediately? Like I can come, that time immediately, so that I will come back and get some rest, because I worked that night. And they said, they talked to the doctor, and they called me back and they said, yeah, she said you can come in. So I went in, and then she said I had to do my ultrasound first, because it had been a month since she had seen me. And the reason why it had been a month was I was really sick. I had hyperemesis gravidum, and that is like,
I don't know what that is.
Yes,
actually.
Intense nausea and vomiting during pregnancy. It was so bad that I'll puke, I'll vomit like 10 times in a day. Nothing stays. So she was seeing me before then every week to see how I was doing. Sometimes I'll go into the hospital for hydration, because I was always dehydrated. And so she saw me a month before, and I was doing good. I felt better. I had just started eating, and said, I told you, sometimes some people have, it stops late, and some people in 3 months, it stops. So when she said that, I was like, yeah, I'm really excited. At that appointment, they took, the heartbeat, they got my child's heartbeat, and, put it in a teddy bear, because I was going to see my husband, where he lived. So they put the heartbeat in the teddy bear, and I sent it to him. So everything was fine.
Yeah.
Now, then she said, I'll see you in a month, because you're doing great. You're feeling much better, right? So I'll see you in a month. And I felt good throughout that 1 month. I had the baby move, and I was fine. Then, so when I went in, they said they'll do ultrasound first before I see her. The ultrasound, sonographer was doing the test, was scanning me, and then she was not saying anything. It was really quiet. And so, she got up and said, let me grab your doctor. And then the doctor came in and said, Abby, I just need to do this ultrasound myself. Looks like baby is giving us a hard time today. He's hiding from me. It was a boy. And so she did that, and she stopped after a while. She stopped. And she said, is there anyone that can come here so we talk? And I said, no. And she said, the pastor, anyone? I said, no. If there's anything, we can talk about it. Then she said, unfortunately, right in that room, she said, unfortunately, I can't hear a heartbeat. And I said, okay, so what does that mean? And he said, Abby, we need you to go to the hospital right now. You can either go to Riverside or St. Anne's, because I have privileges in both hospitals. We need to see what is going on and get this baby out. And I said, what do you mean? Get the baby out? I have a baby in me that I'm expected to give birth to. No, she said, there is no life. So I said, okay, I'm going home. I'm going to pray. So I left and called my husband. I don't know how I got home, but I was just screaming and crying. So I went home. I called my husband and said, get home. I'll just call myself in bed and just cry. I called my mom. I called a friend who was in Arkansas, and then my in-laws also heard about it, so they called and they're like, you need to go to the hospital. I said, I won't go. So I told you that was Thursday morning. I did not go to the hospital. I did not want anything to do. My baby is still alive. So Yeah,
So, I mean, what was that? I mean, I don't really get it. Because a doctor
yeah.
has told you that it seems there is no life. And that is very dangerous, right?
Yes, it is very dangerous, especially when there was no symptoms of what I was going through. There was no bleeding. I had not seen any drainage of any form that will make me feel like there was nothing. And that was one of the things that was concerning to the doctors, because they could not explain why I felt good. I felt normal. There had not been any bleeding or anything that showed that there is something wrong with the pregnancy, and the baby had passed.
And you were not afraid?
I was grieving. I was not afraid at that point. So let's talk about the stages of grief. We have 5 stages. Some have 7. There's been all theories on grieving. So we have anger, we have bargaining, we have denial, and denial is one of the strongest stage in grieving. These griefs, your stages could be different. Your stage will be different from mine. You could get to the acceptance stage right when you get your news or whatever that you should grieve about. But mine was in denial. And I stayed in that denial stage for maybe 2 days. Because I wouldn't go to the hospital. Everyone is calling me, and I said that my baby is there and I'm going to pray. And I want to use this opportunity to discourage anyone from that. Knowing what I know now, it is God that saved me and saved everything that was within me.
Absolutely.
Because it was dangerous.
It was dangerous.
And I would not recommend that anybody does that.
Yeah.
You are running to the hospital if you're in that situation. But I didn't know better. I was, my grief had just blinded me. I was in a lot of pain. I cried a lot. At some point, I will accept it for a while. And then my husband will call and said, okay, I'll go.
And that's your first child.
That's my first child.
Yeah.
So I'll tell my husband I'll go, and then I won't. Then he calls again and said, are you on your way? And I said, no, I'm not going. I'm praying about it. So it was a process. And I had a godmother who was my former boss. So my mom called me and said, you need to go. My mother-in-law called me. I am not going. My baby is there. How dare them tell me that my baby had passed? So it took a while. And my mom called me and said, you are my only child. I don't know what is going on with you.
Absolutely.
Would you please go to the hospital for them to figure it out? I don't want to lose you. Just go for them to figure out what is going on with you. And if there's anything that they can save you from, you rather not want this to have any effects on your ability to have children. And I think that kicked in a way that, yes, I want children. Then I have to go.
Yeah.
So I called her, and I called my godmother, my former boss, and she came and got me to the hospital on Saturday. So it took me a day and a half before I went to the hospital to get checked. We went in the morning, and I kept delaying it because I was still grieving. Grief is it is hard.
Yeah.
What I was going through, I had not heard anyone talk about it. The only person I think I had heard at that time was my sister-in-law, who was really big on that. And she helped me through my healing process. But until then, when you're going through it, it's easier for you to hear people say stuff to you.
Yeah.
For people to tell you what to do. But when your heart, you've not fully accepted what is going on, I will cry. I got into anger stages. I can flip back and forth. I was depressed, very depressed, because why would this happen to me? What have I done wrong?
Absolutely.
Why should I go through this? I had the baby move, and I feel the baby move. So what is going on? And because it was my first pregnancy, what I was feeling, come to realize later on, was just the baby moving with my movements.
Just rolling all over.
Rolling all over. So it was not the baby moving by itself. But I could say that the baby was moving and all that. And so it took a lot. And even when we went to the hospital, the doctors will come in, wanting to start the medication to induce me. And I'll tell them to hold hands and let's do another scan.
Again, the hospital?
Oh, they came like 5 times. And
Wow.
once they finished with the ultrasound and we don't see it, there's still no heartbeat. I'll tell them that you should go and come back.
What?
I want to pray. I'll call my pastors. So it was because, and I always take this as, it was not a disappointment in my faith, because I know God and I know what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, we should also accept that medicine also has its place.
Yes.
And so for me at that time, my thought was, God is going to heal me, and regardless of what medicine does. So one of my pastors said, the final call, he said, Abby, this does not diminish who God is.
Yes.
If there is something they can do to save you, let them save you.
Yes.
Because there is a lot ahead of you, and he will glorify his name at the appointed time. But this does not mean that God is lesser than what you think he is. And that sank deep, because I was questioning why God would let this happen to me. And so it doesn't diminish his greatness. So I allowed it close to the evening for them to start it. Okay. And before I allowed it, my former boss was sitting by me, and I told her that we should pray. After I spoke to the pastor, and I spoke to my husband, I spoke to my mom, my in-law, my mother-in-law, my husband, I told her we should pray. And while she was praying, she said, what is your greatest fear? And I said, I don't want this to be painful. So painful that I don't want to come back to it, because I want to have children. Yeah. And so she said, tell God what you're just telling me. So I prayed, and in my tears, I said that I don't want this to be painful. Yeah. Because at that time, they had also told me that they had prepared OR for me, because they are not sure why something is, I still have all this in me and nothing is out. Yeah. So they said that they had prepared the OR. There's a possibility that they have to take me into the OR to do some DNC or DNE, at that time they said. So they didn't know what they were going to do, but they said sometimes the babies adhere to the walls to the point that they have to do the scraping, and basically kind of like, in a way, it looks like an abortion. So they had told me that. And that was my concern, that I don't want to go through all that pain. And so they started the medication. And once they started the medication, she said, okay, now that they've started, let me go home, get dressed, change, and then come back, because I'm going to you made us spend the whole day praying and praying, which she's also a believer. But I think from her, she didn't want to frustrate me. Yeah. So she just went with everything that I was saying. And the doctors were really patient with me. You can tell that they always got disappointed that I kept pushing everything back, but they worked with me pretty well. And so she left, and after we prayed, it wasn't even up to an hour. The baby came. I hit the call button because I had the pressure to have a bowel movement. I hit the call button, and I told them I wanted to have a bowel movement. Before the nurses got to the room, the baby had come. Wow. They had prepped me with all the towels, everything, that if it was going to be a huge mess and all that. The baby came whole in the sack. Everything was together. So then it means that I don't have to go together with the placenta. Everything was together. There was not any part of it that there was going to be any drainage out. It was just like that. And so I wasn't going to go through anything else. Wow. So they took it to the bathroom, and then later on, dressed him up and gave it to me and told me that whenever I'm ready to have the baby, sent to, the morgue and have, I wanted to do, a postmortem to see what had really happened with the baby, what went wrong. 'Cause they couldn't answer that question. So.
Was a boy?
Boy, his name was Ruben.
Oh.
So I had a name for him. And that was one of the things that kind of like was so much, it was hurting for me. And also having going through the, and also to go through the birthing, like my body knew that I had a baby. So it was like I was a new mom. And when I came, that pain was even worse than what I had gone through.
Absolutely.
With having the child, because now it almost feels like I just had the baby and I have not had the baby. And so I was producing breast milk. And with no baby, it is very painful. I would just stay in the shower. So I was in pain. And I was also, my heart had broken. So it was emotional. I was all over the place. As a matter of fact, when I had the baby, I had to, before I got discharged, my discharge was pushed back because I was put in a suicide precaution for a whole day until behavioral health came to talk to me, because I told the nurse that I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to live anymore. And the nurse said, "Are you serious what you're saying?" And I said, "Yes, I just lost a baby." And so she went and reported it to the doctors, as she should. We don't, these things shouldn't be taken for granted. So they called, behavioral health, and they had the consult in. So I had to stay for 24 hours under observation. And then they came to talk to me, and they realized that I didn't have any active plan to do it. It was just how I felt. That is why I said that. There was no plan to do it. So they released me 2 days later.
Wow.
Yes. So that is really painful.
You've really gone through a lot.
Yeah. It is very painful. And you don't hear of it as much.
Absolutely.
When you get into that state, that is when everybody tells you their story.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this person, my mother-in-law was like, oh, I had an issue like that with having kids. This person says that my sister-in-law. And I was like, how come I didn't know about all these? And so you can tell that I have been very vocal about that stage in my life, because I know that it's healing for someone. Even after that, there was a whole new phase that I went through. The next 2 days I went to school. My psychology instructor worked me out and said, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" And I said that I need to be in class. And he said, "No, go home. You need help. You're not supposed to be here. People will come home and visit, but once they go, it is just me alone." My husband, because of the time, he couldn't be here at that time. He came, I think, the following week. But I had gone through that. He was also dealing with his own kind of pain.
Absolutely.
Especially when he couldn't be here with me and go through all that with me. But when you are in that state, it's almost like you just think about, this should have not happened to me in the first place. Why did God do that? Okay, I'm going to accept it. Then the next minute, I'm angry. Like, so all the stages of grief I went through, and I had to slowly come out of it. It took a lot of time. And I feel like I still haven't recovered from it, because that was a son that I will never get back. Very beautiful boy. He stayed with me for hours. And then come to find out, after they did the postmortem and got the results, he weighed close to what he was the last time I had gone for the heartbeat. So they were projecting that the baby had passed more than 2 weeks in me, and I couldn't tell. And that even made the whole thing like, God is good.
Absolutely.
God is so good, and he looks after his own. Because what if people have gone through that and they died?
Yeah.
So to have a baby in me for that long, and I was just walking around, and instead of feeling bad, I felt so good that I felt that the pregnancy was doing very well. So God is good the report said over 2 weeks. I still have the report with me. I still have my baby's ashes with me. I honor him. I feel like I saw my angel. That is how sometimes it makes me feel better. That I met my angel. Some people never get that chance. So God sent my angel and wanted me to meet my angel. He looked so much like me. And so anytime I see my girls now, I'm like, you guys are light skinned and all that. But I saw him. He looked so much like me. He had my face, and my former boss was like, that is you. He looks so much like you. And to God's glory, he's done more than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
He has done more than I ever imagined. Yeah. Soon after that, I went through miscarriage. Soon after that to my next pregnancy.
Miscarriage.
Yes. And the doctors, what was tricky for me was the doctor said they were different they were different. One was a stillbirth, one is a miscarriage. It's not alike. So there was nothing that they could do to investigate it until I have another stillbirth or until I have another miscarriage. So I had to live with it and think that God will help me.
And having a stillbirth and then later on a miscarriage, you begin to ask, what's wrong with me?
Of course, plenty times I questioned myself. Even after 2 children, I was still questioning myself. There is something wrong with me because following that, I had Trinity and I had Iris Rose. But now I had 2 girls. So why did the boy not survive? So now I'm questioning myself that maybe my body fights against male babies.
Yeah.
So that on its own, it's another thing that you go through. It never leaves you. And I kept getting pregnant. I remember when I changed doctors, and this Nigerian doctor who is my OB, she walked into a room, and the first thing she said was, "Why are you getting pregnant like that?" Because in 1 year I got pregnant 3 times. And he said, "No. Why are you putting a toll on your body?"
Yeah.
It was beginning for me.
Yes, you want to have a boy.
Yes, I want to have a child. I want to prove to my body that I can have a child. So I kept trying, and it wasn't good for my health. And no means good for my health, because no doctor will recommend that. But I kept doing it because I wanted to have a child. And so she said, "No, we're going to talk about this. And I feel your pain and I saw what you're going through. And before I saw you, I read through your file, and all I said a prayer. I said, God, this girl is coming to me to seek answers. I do not have any answer for her. Help her." So when she saw me, she said, "You want some answers, darling?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I don't have any answers for you, but God will give you your answer that you want. I cannot explain to you. I don't know what's going on with your body, but God will help you. And I've prayed about it, and I believe God will help you."
Yeah.
So I had all my children with her.
Wow.
And when she finds out I'm pregnant, she would not say congratulations. When I have the baby, that's when she says congratulations. That's always the first time that I will hear her say congratulations.
Okay.
Because I put everyone on their toes. She will see me every week. She will, and between the time that she calls it, I have a time that she has to be watching me. And that is between 20 to 27 weeks. She's watching me every week. she's having me do some scans, ultrasounds every week. And sometimes when I get to the stage where Ruben was within that time that I lost my first, she will have me do ultrasounds twice a week. So I go on a Wednesday and Saturday. And the reason was she wanted to catch that time. How did that happen? And so for her, that was how she will she said, there's something, I feel like the timing between that time, something can happen. And so I want I don't want anything to go past me.
Yeah.
And she helped me a lot. So
wow,
that is my story.
Wow. That has been a lot.
Yes.
A lot of things has really happened.
Yes.
I mean, we were in the same city, but you know, I don't know.
No, I didn't say much of it. People who knew I was pregnant, now that is also another thing that goes on. When you lose the baby, now you have to explain to everyone else that I've lost the baby. And it puts you into that pain every time you keep explaining. Because even months after, someone called and said, hey, baby mommy, baby abba.
I understand.
That cuts deep. Then you're reliving it every time you talk about it. So with my subsequent pregnancies, if you don't see me, I'm not telling you I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And it was not because I was afraid of people knowing I was pregnant, but I thought it will help that I don't tell a friend, my mom, because then if I lose the baby, they also go into that mourning state. They also are in pain. And I wanted to deprive them. I will share with them the good news that the baby's here. But until then, let me keep this because I'm not sure that this baby is going to be here. So why do I have to go through that with you? To go through that? Because that is painful. It is very painful when you have to relive it. Because someone will call you, say, is baby here? Or someone will call you asleep and said, oh, let me leave you to sleep. By now, the baby is just like moving a lot. So let me leave you to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you're wide awake now because a baby has been mentioned. And I also say that watching commercials, diaper commercials and stuff was really painful to me to watch. I will cry at every TV commercial that I see. The only thing that gave me comfort, some people will see kids and they'll cry. I did not cry with seeing other people with their children. It gave me that kind of, I don't know what word to use. It gave me that hope. That if this person is carrying this baby, then someday it means that God is so close.
Yeah.
God is not far away from me. There are miracles happening around me. So it means that my time will come. But I have to stay dedicated to the word and also be humble and pray and hope that my time will come. So that did not really bother me when I saw children or my friends getting pregnant or my friends having babies. It just gave me hope that then, it will come.
Wow.
Yes.
Finally, you became an RN, and not just an RN, but an MSN.
Yes, I got my master's too.
A step closer to a doctorate.
Yes.
So I can say that you are a senior nurse.
Well, I won't call myself a senior nurse because of my, I have 5 years experience under my arms, but nursing is a profession that you keep learning. And I feel like there's a lot more to learn, but you can say that I'm a nurse leader.
Okay.
Yes.
But I'm saying you are a senior nurse because, I mean, in terms of the level in the nursing that you have actually acquired. Yeah. So
we thank God.
Permit me to say you are a senior nurse.
We thank God.
Yeah. If I want to become a nurse, what are some of the levels, different levels that we have in the nursing profession, and where can I start?
So, thank you for that question. It's a very great one. If you want to become a nurse, the level, we have an LPN.
Okay.
We have RN. And in the RN track, we have ADN and BSN. So the exams that you write to become a registered nurse or LPN, which is a licensed practical nurse, ADN and the BSN nurse will write the same registered nurse NCLEX. And LPN has its own license exam that they write.
So that means if somebody who has
ADN, that's associate degree, diploma, associate diploma in nursing.
Okay, and the BSN is the
bachelor's.
But they write the same
exams. Yes, they write the same NCLEX. The years of studies.
So it means that if somebody who is who has ADN, the ADN want to become a BSN, doesn't have to write
another exams.
Okay.
Yes, okay. And then we have the masters. The Masters of Science in Nursing also has its own tracks. So some will do their masters and be nurse practitioners, psych nurses, women's health nurses, that is midwifery as a master's. Some will also do leadership. Some will go into masters in education. So that has several tracks that, depending on what you want, you can follow suit.
Oh, okay. So the doctorate is the
doctorate of nursing practice is the highest.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we also have, even with them MSN, we have the CRNAs. Those are the nurses, anesthesiologists, nurses. So there are different tracks, and it depends on where you go. You asked me that if I want to be a nurse, where do I start? Where you start is where it's personal to, so where you start is how you want to start. What will make you comfortable through your nursing education? If someone who just graduated high school wants to be a nurse, they will go in the bachelor's track because they're 18, they have their parents supporting them and all that. So it will make sense for them to do just the bachelor's and then go through, because they're staying at home and then can go through that education. If for me, the reason why I chose the ADN, because I was living alone, trying to make ends meet by working in the hospital as a food service worker, and also working in the warehouse here in Columbus. So I needed something to support me, and I also wanted to be a registered nurse. So first of all, and this was not in my plan, how it all started was my husband met me and he said, after a while, he said, "You look like a nurse." I said, "Don't say that," because back home in Ghana, my dad wanted me to be a nurse, and I refused that. He always told my mom that when I close my eyes, I see Abby being a nurse. And I told my mom and my stepmother that I tell Dad he should open his eyes because I don't want to be a nurse. He should just open his eyes and you'll see that I don't want to be a nurse. I'm afraid of blood. And that is a very common excuse for anyone who doesn't want to do nursing. I'm afraid of blood. But when I got into it, and my husband kind of like, "Yes, you can do it. Do the CNA program, that's the STNA, and see if you like it." I did it and I fell in love with my clinical, like when I did my clinical. So that is where my love for nursing came.
Started growing.
And it was gradual. I just did not like it from the beginning. I did the STNA. I liked it. I enrolled. I applied into a job as a PSA, that is a patient support assistant, like a nursing assistant. And then the closer I got to the profession, I saw the nurses doing their stuff. I was like, I like
it's
it.
Nice.
And for me, I think professionally, that is how I develop passion for something. I will tell you, I don't like it. in the beginning, but the more I watch people do it and see how comfortable and they talk to them, it helps me. I got a lot of mentors along the line who was guiding me. Like a lot of nurses will go into patient room to do stuff, and they will bring me along to watch. And the more I watched, the more I got comfortable. And then I have questions. And I told my husband that, yes, I think I can be a nurse. And so he supported me through my nursing education to get to where I've been. So it really depends on you and how you want to go. I didn't want to write 2 NCLEX. Some people are comfortable doing the LPN and being ADN, but I didn't want to do that. So I went through that route. Some people go through the LPN route because it will give them a higher pay whilst they are working on their registered nursing degree or diploma. But for me, that was what worked for me. So I always tell people that know what works for you, what will help you. If the LPN track will help you, you can go through the LPN track. If the ADN track will help you, you can go through. And if the BSN track is what you can do because you have that support, you can go through it. I did not have that support. I had a parent at home that I have to help take care of. So it was more, it would be more beneficial to me to go through an ADN route.
So I know that there are different kind of nurses. Apart from the levels in nursing, there are different kind of nurses. Some of them that are the other day you were talking, say, is it
medical surgical?
Surgical nurse or something like that, and all those things. Which one would you recommend in terms of the money?
I recommend all of them. And that is a good question. And I like how you said, which one will you recommend? I don't recommend anyone. I tell my students, because I'm a clinical instructor in 2 colleges, but I tell my students that if by the end of your program, you don't know the kind of nurse you want to be, then I, as a clinical instructor, I failed you. And probably all of us failed you. When do you decide what nurse you want to be? It's when you are doing your clinical, because that is giving you that opportunity to be on the ground and to know what is really going on. When I was in nursing school, I knew I couldn't be a pediatric nurse. It was through my clinical.
Which one is pediatric nurse?
The babies from from 0 to 13. I knew I couldn't do that. I knew adults was my place that I would thrive more and I would do more. I knew I couldn't be OB, a postpartum nurse or a labor and delivery nurse. I couldn't do that. And it's just through my clinicals, what I saw. And I was like, no, this is what I like. So I knew I liked the medical surgical adults. Then I had to break it down to the unit that I was working in was a surgical, post-surgical unit. So surgical patients, I don't mind doing it because I see the drains, I see the wounds and all that. That kind of gets me busy. So I knew what I wanted, and that is why I keep encouraging people that whilst between your school clinical and your first year, you will know where you want to be. Medical surgical kind of like opens everything up for you. You see a little bit of something, and that some people use that route to really identify their passion. But if you don't know right from nursing school, then you can go into medical surgical to kind of find where you feel comfortable in. Some people, ICU, the most I did was to do a step down for surgical trauma. But even with the step down being an intermediate nurse, I did not go into anything than surgical. So it tells you that I had so much passion for the surgical trauma world compared to medical. But I'll still take up a medical patient and take care of him wonderfully. But when I have a surgical trauma patient where I see the wounds and everything, it is where like I enjoy it because I have a lot of learning opportunities in that field for me and where my passion is. So that is how you can tell where you want to end up by what you do. And sometimes you cannot find out until 5 years in. Sometimes you cannot find out. You can do little bit of things and then you realize that, okay, I didn't like, I like this. I like this. I like that. So it takes a lot of time. And you have to give yourself patience. You have to give yourself grace and be patient with the process. Because how I figured mine was really fast, but it doesn't mean that it will work for everyone.
Yeah.
So you got to know yourself and know what works for you.
Yeah. But you didn't talk about the money, the pay.
The money.
I'm interested with
Gabby. So the money is. I was going to say the money is good, but no. The money depends on what. But ADN, for me, at the time that I got employed, the ADN and the BSN nurses got the same amount of starting pay. It is also, we also have to consider the states that you're in. A nurse in Ohio will get different starting pay from a nurse in New York.
Okay.
It depends on the standard of living in the state that you are in. The minimum,
the minimum wage.
Yes, thank you. So it depends on the minimum wage for the state. So all that factor in. Texas will be different. You are not going to earn the same thing. But if you're in the same state or the same healthcare company, then that will depend on. LPN will be a little bit lower than the RN, but sometimes your start pay will be the same. Experience also takes accounts for a lot of things. Okay. So if I start the same day as someone who I have 5 years experience and the person has 3 years experience, they will pay me differently than what they will pay that. But the money, essentially, it's something that it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my wife's a nurse.
Yes.
Now, and I mean,
you're seeing that. You're seeing the money.
I mean, honestly, it has really comforted our finances. Actually,
It takes a lot.
Yes,
it takes a lot. It is a job that the money, what we go through, the money is just a minute part of it. People hear about how much some nurses make and are like, oh, you're making a lot.
Yes.
But what we go through, what we do, it is difficult to put all that in that, like, put that in monetary value.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so it is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of learning because on a shift, if you have 5 or 6 patients, you basically have 6 patients' life in your hands. You have to be looking out for that patient, advocating for them. You are closer to the patient than the doctor. You are seeing the patient in real time and you're seeing the changes. And emotionally, it takes a toll on you. You will have different patients and family members, and you have to go through all that emotions with them. So like I said, you can have 6 patients. In one room, a patient is in a lot of pain because they came out of surgery. In another room, a patient just passed away. And the family is with the patient. In the next room, we have a teenager who had to go through some surgical intervention because of his heart or her heart. So one mom is in a very anguished state. One family is saying goodbye to their loved one who had lived a very good amount of life, had good years in life. Then another room, someone is in a lot of pain. And when you are attending to that person, all other things, you have to blank out of that and give them the care they need. When I go into the other room, I have to blank out. And so we are in a span of 12 hours, you're just like shutting down emotions and trying, not shutting down your patient, but your emotions. And it takes a toll on you.
Honestly,
coupled
that's
with the
true.
skills that you're doing.
That's true.
And then you have another room that they are cursing you out, basically. And everything that you do is not enough. Then in another room, you have a patient who is very grateful for your presence there.
Yeah.
And tell you how much they appreciate you.
Yeah.
So you just have to manage it. You are always managing your emotion, and you go through all that, coupled with short staffing, coupled with all other policies in place that you have to make sure that you're doing your job too. So that 12 hours, it's not that easy.
I understand.
So if you have to value what we do, the money is not enough.
That's true.
It's not it's not enough,
true.
but
Yeah.
you have to really want it.
Yeah.
If you go in for the money, you burn out easily. If you go in for the money, you will not have that passion to do it. So you all have the heart to do it, and then the money is an additional factor. But really, 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 you should love that job. Anyone who walks into that job loves it and will go back to it regardless of what they go through. And it's a lot that we face through with nursing leadership, bedside, outpatient, surgery, in the operating room and all that. It is a lot that we go through with families, with children, and with all that. Because Cleveland Clinic has a video that they show, and I'll show you the links. Sometimes you should go and look at it, and you see how a lot of people are walking through the hospitals and what each one is going through. Someone is discharging out, they're happy. Another person is running to see the wife deliver their first child. Another person just got a bad cancer diagnosis. So people are walking through the hospitals and what is in their head. It is an amazing video. And when you watch it, you will cry, and then you will see different people differently.
Yeah.
Yes. So this profession is hard. Medical field, there's no easy profession.
Yeah.
But sometimes people are like, oh, nurses get paid well, and so they are okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of things go on in the hospital, and if you don't have that strong will to go back, and that is where the passion comes in, you will leave. A lot of people have left, and it's not because they didn't love it. It does something to you that you have to always remind yourself. And sometimes remind yourself when mental health means walking away from it. I strongly support that.
The last time you were talking about leadership, and you were encouraging Africans or even Ghanaians who are nurses to stepping up in leadership. One thing as Africans we need, especially, we are from Africa, and there are so many things that that brings us down.
Yes.
Number one is our language.
Our accent.
Accent. You see, you know the thing, and you are saying it, but somebody is telling you
They can't hear you.
can't hear you.
They don't understand.
He doesn't understand. That
It kills your
it
self.
kills me personally.
Yes.
So somebody's a nurse. You went to school. You know the thing. You are past the exams. You're working as a nurse. But that kind of thing, how would you be able to step up in leadership? You see, but you have gone through at least most of those things.
Yes. A lot.
Yeah.
And
So how do you,
how I go through that is, first of all, they say they don't hear you. They do. They do. There is no way they don't. But what happens is the moment they see you, it blocks. And this is not for everyone. It blocks. They block that because And I keep telling people of my color, my students and people that I mentor that your skin, your name, your accent, the way you speak precedes you before anything else. So the moment they see you, they form their own judgment. And this is some of them. So you are proving yourself over and over. And the and excuse me, what did you say? And all that should help you not deter you from it. Still talk, still show up to that work, still put in the work. Because I speak 3 or 4 Ghanaian languages. I will not talk like an American who was born here. I spent majority of my education in Ghana. So how do you expect me to speak like you?
That's the thing.
There is a lot of confusion with that. So I try to, and when I was getting into education, teaching, a Ghanaian told me that they will not understand you and you cannot do it. I've done it for 3 years. And how I've been able to do it is to just keep going back to it. If you don't understand me, how do I make it clearer for you? When I came here, there was a lot, you know how the British English is different from the American English. There were some things that I said and did not make sense to them. And I was like, what did you say? And then I explained to it. But also what helped me was I was also adjusting to the things that they said, how they said it. Not necessarily changing my tongue. But if I'm trying to think about a word. But if I said a word this way, and in the British world, it is how we say it. And in American, they say, like, one time I got dropped off on Cleveland Avenue, on a different, like maybe 4 stops after my main stop, because I kept saying that I will alight.
Oh, okay.
I kept saying that I will alight.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand it.
They don't really say that. Yeah.
So when I realized that I was way past where I live, I said, I told you I will alight. And he said, girl, what are you talking about? Alight what? And I said, alight. He said, what alight? Then I said, my stop was before, and this was when I was freshly new here. And he said, oh, you getting off the bus? I said, yes. So that is how I learned. Next time, I'm not sitting anywhere saying, I'm alight. I'm not alight, I'm getting off. So that's some of the things that kind of help. But it brings back to being a bedside nurse and meeting families, the subtle racism that goes on. Some people are just really oblivious to it. They don't know it. And the more you talk to them, the more you realize that it is just like they don't. Some people really do it with prejudice. And so you have to learn the nuances in that. I've had patients ask me before I do anything that which school did I go to? Am I American trained? I've had patients use the N-word on me. I've seen all those faces. But I always encourage nurses, new nurses, whatever they do, that get into leadership. Because what happens is, if you get into leadership, any form of leadership, charge nurse, nursing instructor, preceptor, you are bringing all that in. So another person who is from Africa will see me and I talk like them, and that alone is a motivation to them. You are encouraging them. Another person who is not familiar with me as a student, some people have never talked to a Black person before, an African before. They will get the opportunity for that 9 weeks, will be in a clinical with me and will learn a thing or two about my accent. So the more we get into all these leadership places, we are helping. Representation matters. And the more you represent and you show up, they will realize that we are not going anywhere, and we will still catch up to them with all the experiences, with all the knowledge, with all the skills. So we just have to, because some of us, when they tell us to do something, you're like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I discourage everyone. Yes, you can. If you don't understand anything, call someone and let them explain to you.
Yeah.
You can. And that's how you get better. You learn and get better, so that if my child becomes a nurse and meets you in the field, you are able to mentor them and make them stronger, rather than them walking into a place where they don't know anyone or no one looks like them. If something comes up and you go to HR, what is the representation there? How are we seeing the nuances in everything that we are saying? Because if they don't understand us, they will not rule in our favor.
That's true. That is really true.
So you go to HR and there is no one who is diverse there. You are talking about your experiences, or they don't even have to look like you, as in the black skin, but they should have that diverse mindset. And if you don't have anyone there like that, before you go, your case is already messed up, because you don't need people by your side, but you need people to stand up for the truth. And if your case is it's a prejudice case against you and don't have anyone by your side, then your case is not going anywhere. They will take you out of the system, or you're going to get fired because of something that maybe if you got someone to listen a little bit, will know that it's the other way around. So we need to represent. We need Ghanaians. We need Africans getting into all these roles, becoming nursing instructors, becoming preceptors, because then you're encouraging someone to stay, becoming nurse educators, going into the classroom teaching, because they hear us. They understand us. They just need to change the mindset and listen. Try to listen. When they're speaking to someone that they know or looks like them, it is just like that. But your skin, your name, your accent, it precedes you. So we always need to get better. And for us, it's a challenge. It's a very heavy weight on us, but it also makes you better. I see that. I always want to see the positive and stuff like that, and not discourage anyone. So leadership and getting into places will help a lot of us, because we have people to look up to. Yeah.
Now, funding in the nursing, maybe from LPN to maybe up to doctorate. Can you have funding?
Yes, funding is all
state funding, and then other kind of scholarship. And even LPN, can people have scholarship?
I always say that you start around you. What information are you getting? What usually we do is someone will reach out to me and ask me, oh, so I want to do this. How do I do it? I want you to go out and find the information yourself. Because what I might tell you today might have changed. It's not inaccurate. It just changed last night. And so if you're going to depend on what I told you, then what if there has been a change? So we are sometimes very lazy in finding information, and then we take whatever we hear and run it off. So knowing what the information is and how credible it is in that time, find your sources. If you're working, you're looking for tuition reimbursement, what are things that they can offer you? We have the students' loan, the ones that you pay. We have the grants that you don't pay back. And even the FAFSA, the student loan application, it can tell you how much you qualify for Pell Grants and how much you qualify for subsidized loan and unsubsidized loan. So it is all about you looking out for it. You mentioned state scholarships. You have to look out for what your state is offering. The fact that you got Pell Grant doesn't mean that if there's another money somewhere, you cannot chase for it. Put in the work. What is your GPA? What are the requirements? does it require you to have a certain GPA? Working towards, because most of the scholarships want you to be doing something good, like having good grades. So you want to apply for it. But first of all, when you're working in a company, ask them, I'm pursuing this degree. What does the company have in store for me? And the more you fish out for those information, the more you get it. And then it helps you with your funding. I use a lot of tuition reimbursement from my employer, just knowing how much I was going to get. When I was doing my bachelor's, I found out that the school that I was going to, my employer had partnership with them. I knew they had some partnership, but I thought it was a discount. So I called, the school called me because I wanted to sit out because my tuition reimbursement had run out. So I wanted to take a break. And I called the school, and for some reason, my advisor was like, why are you taking a break? And I said, because my reimbursement, my tuition reimbursement has run out for the year. This is the amount of money I get for the year. And he said, let me link you to a financial person. Apparently, I could go through the rest of the semester without paying a dime. I didn't know, because the partnership that everybody knew, the school had partnership with my employer, was after that tuition reimbursement had been all run out. The rest of the year, you can go to school for free, and it's a zero tuition. And I didn't know. So that helped me with my with my graduation day, because then I didn't have to even talk to my advisor about taking that break. I could still, and I did 2 semesters with it because of that negotiation they had with the with my employer. That helped me. So it all comes back to having the right information at the right time.
You had a scholarship.
Oh yeah, last year, right?
Yeah.
That was from work.
Okay, yeah, from Ohio Health, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it for your MSN or?
Yes. So I was in school, and I had applied for a scholarship they give, and that is something that seeking for employer funded, and so they gave me a scholarship for leadership. Every year we do a whole function in all the campuses, and then I got selected for that leadership scholarship, and that was money that I could use towards anything in my education, and it went a long way in helping me. So BSN, ADN, part of my ADN, BSN, and my master's, I basically went to school for free.
Wow.
You have to utilize the system.
Yeah,
you have to learn.
Well.
Yes.
You've done well.
Thank you.
You've done well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. In actual fact, we had this video. This podcast was shot last week.
Yes.
And unfortunately,
you got a hiccup.
There was a hiccup with the sound.
Yes.
So we had to do it again. Yes. And I'm saying it just for, for audience to know. Yeah. And she came back again for this podcast. I'm so much grateful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about a little bit of my life experiences in the United States, and how we can also use ourselves as vessels to help people, encourage others, to get people to, if nursing is your passion, getting people to know that you can pursue it. You can love it. And if you feel like you don't have that same passion, it's better to leave than have that pain and everything in you and be taking care of patient. Yeah. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. This is like a really huge thing for me. Yeah. And I'm glad that you gave me this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you too. It's not easy. There's so many people I've invited. Couple of people, most of them I don't know them, and they don't really know me. So sometimes when they don't know you, for honoring
invitation.
The invitation is kind of
I know
difficult.
you. I've known you for what, since 2014.
Yes,
We've talked and all that.
Yes.
So yeah, you're a brother. You're almost like a brother. You just don't call.
Yes.
You just don't call, but
Yeah.
but well, I am happy for this. And like I said the other day, this is gonna be huge. And God is going to use your platform to have people listen and take a cue. I hope someone had gotten something precious out of my interview.
Yeah.
And anytime I watch your interviews with other invitees, I get something out of your videos every time. I've picked up a lot of things from powerful interviews. I've picked up a lot of things. So thanks for being that vessel.
Yeah. Great.
When you become rich and big, I hope I come back.
Yeah, I mean, we are family.
I hope I come back.
We are family.
We do this, and hopefully God has elevated both of us.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You know, one thing I've seen about you is you and your husband is so beautiful. Your husband and your kids. It's so beautiful. And
it's just a way to be inclusive. I have my family with me because that is what basically, after going to work and going through all that, that is what basically gives me joy. The joy of being with my family, the joy of seeing my children. Like the other day I came back and my son was like, I really miss you, mommy. That gives me so much satisfaction. And I know that I'm out there with a purpose. But my marriage is basically the foundation. And I always say that if I did not get married, God elevated me through marriage. So how do I honor God through my marriage? I am very proud of the man I married. And I think that was my destiny helper. Because every step of the way, my husband, he kind of manages my life. In a way that if you leave me, I will not steady. I will not, I get comfortable in the position and I'm okay. By my husband, I don't take up any role, any position without my husband giving me thumbs up like, yeah, this is the time to go. Okay, let's wait for this moment. Okay, let's wait for this. So it kind of always helped because I was like, I wanted to be a travel nurse. My husband said, well, now because of our schedule, we cannot do it. Let's wait. When your mom comes, you can do it. My mom came. He said, this is the time to do it. Everything. He is more of a planner. And then when I realized that, I was like, I'm going to submit this professionally into his hands to help me. So before I put in the application, he knows about it. Before, when I see the job, we talk about it. How can I do this? So people see me as like, you do a lot of things. In my 5 years of nursing, I have different experiences and a lot of things. And people are like, how do you do it? My answer is my husband. And if I had not met him and for him to help me, guide me through that process, I wouldn't have survived.
Absolutely.
So I believe that that's marriage, and that's why I hold it in a very much high esteem. My children are like, mommy, you love daddy more than me. I said, well, because in 18 years, you all will leave the house.
Absolutely.
And I'll be stuck with this man. And if I don't
true.
know him enough, then now we are like strangers looking at each other. And this is a conscious effort to love. Behind all this, the love word is a lot of work. And the more you do that work, the more you benefit from it. And so I always try to do the work more than just depend solely on the love factor.
Absolutely.
So that has kept us going. Traveling, we travel a lot. And the children also kind of like want me, but brings us together. But my main concern is how good am I going to be, how personalized I'm going to be with him, how close we're going to be, so that when finally the children leave the house, I am thinking about that. I'm not thinking about, our children is bonding us and our children is doing that. I am thinking about when the children leave the house, because they will have their own
They'll
lives.
leave.
I don't
Yeah,
want to be
that's
the
true.
mom
That's
that
true.
will be clenched on be on my kids and calling them because I can't even talk to my husband who is next to me.
Yeah.
They have their life that they're going to live at the end of the day. And how do I liberate them from that and have my husband being that person? And it starts now.
Yeah.
I cannot wait till 18 years from now to do it.
That's true.
So that is why I think it's one of the things that I hold in high esteem, and I will do anything to protect
That's
it.
true. That's true. That is very beautiful.
Thank you.
It's very beautiful, honestly. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Abi Osei Obisi. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And thank you, audience. Please like this video. Share it to your friends and those of us who have not even, who don't even know about this podcast. Please share it. Let them see that there is something new on YouTube. And I think you also have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Yes. And it's Abi.
Just Abi.
Just
RN.
Abi. She actually talks about health issues,
Yes.
nursing, and all those things. And honestly, I really like it, and it will benefit you if you go to that channel.
So yeah, on all social media, just Abi RN, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just basically nurses. I help international nurses get their RN license here. I help. I mentor a lot of students. I do tutoring. I help people with NCLEX. So I do a whole lot of things. Nursing is my passion.
Yeah.
So that is what I can do and just feel comfortable in. So anything nursing, YouTube, my email, you can find how to contact me through any of these platforms, and we can talk. So yes.
Yeah. So that is the information right there. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. Bye.
Yay!